The last time Karen Keshura was on a C-5A Galaxy, the long war in Vietnam was coming to an end. It was a different kind of homecoming flight. At just 7 months old, Keshura was one among hundreds of orphan Vietnamese children aboard the aircraft heading to meet their new families in America. Keshura's flight was the first of several under what would later become known as President Gerald Ford's Operation Babylift. Just minutes after takeoff, a malfunction caused the cargo doors to blow out and the rapid decompression inside the aircraft. Ultimately, the pilot was forced to crash land the plane filled with passengers.
And I came over here in 1975 on President Ford's Babylift, which was an initiative that the United States had put together to get some of the babies out. And my parents went through Friends of Children, and they're an organization that helped with all kinds of outside country adoptions. So my mother wasn't able to have any other children after my sister, so they started the process of adopting a baby. And it took 3 years. And initially they had, once they went through all the paperwork, they had gotten notification that I would arrive in 4 months. So I'm almost like an Amazon, you know, modern day Amazon baby. You got a picture in the mail, basically, said, do you want her? And then they went through all the paperwork and all that kind of stuff, but the war accelerated and Saigon was ready to fall. So basically there was a push that instead of 4 months, you literally had maybe 4 weeks. Well, they'd heard about the crash and they weren't sure where really I fell on that spectrum. So for a couple of days, everybody was kind of like, what's going on? And so I think it was Sunday morning, they had received word that I had survived. My dad went to work on the Monday and he literally was given maybe 8 hours notice to say, your child arrived in San Francisco, being escorted into JFK, and you need to get there.
I don't know if it was necessarily survivor's guilt, but I just never liked to talk about it, Keshura said. A lot of lives were lost, a lot of babies were lost. Keshura was traveling in the upper troop compartment, which remained largely intact. Despite the rest of the airplane's devastation after the crash landing, she and more than 150 children, Air Force personnel, and civilians survived the crash, but many did not. Aside from a binder full of photos and news clippings, Keshura never really dug too deep into her Vietnamese roots or what happened that day.
I maintain a sense of humor about it, but I was a baby. I came over at 7 months, so for me, I've always just been me, a Keshura, American, for lack of a better term, you know, so I didn't know anything different. So I didn't have this compulsion to find more, to maybe find a survivor, you know, or anything like that. So maybe that's part of why I've never really delved into more of the story.
She found a renewed interest in her story, however, when an old friend and classmate, Chief Master Sgt. Justin Thurber, invited her to Westover.
Being the maintenance superintendent of a C-5 base, I thought, what a weird connection. And it's a nice connection, though, because you sit there and you're like, I had someone that's distinctly affected by a C-5, and I'm the maintenance superintendent at a C-5 base. And the other thing, as I did research, I found out it was a C-5A model. They have some reasons why it crashed or whatever, and it was maintenance related. So I said, you know what, we have a C-5A that's leaving. It's going to be the last one in the Air Force inventory. It's going to the boneyard next month. And I said, well, maybe I'll invite her up. And that was kind of tough for me to do. It was kind of tough. I talked to PA about it. I said, hey, listen, I have a friend. They're like, oh, if she wants to come in, you know, have her come in, because I want to get authorization to have you come up. But, you know, for me it was difficult because I knew you for a while, and like I said, never knowing that happened, I was kind of, I don't know how you felt about it.
Keshura graciously accepted Thurber's invitation to Westover, despite his hesitation to dive into an aspect of his friend's personal life that she had always kept to herself. This visit brought about my desire to know more, Keshura said. When I came here, I didn't just want to look at the planes. I wanted to be more than that. I wanted to connect with it. Emotion overcame Keshura as she and a group of her family members and friends climbed up the ladder to the troop compartment inside the C-5A. This closes that chapter for me. The best part of the experience was seeing one of Westover's C-5s soaring through the air. I had an enormous sense of peace seeing the plane take off and fly.